I shouldn't be forced to validate someone's identity because they feel like a victim. But if this bylaw passes, LGBT will not get the help from a Christian counselor on request. A counseling room is a place of vulnerability, and it takes courage to be there. Their choice of family counsel and therapist is their right, not ours. Have we ever met their kids? Do we know each by name? The city may fine counselors $10,000 if a loving parent were to bring their child to a counselor. Parents want to protect their child's innocence. Are we willing to tell the families this face-to-face in their homes? This fine would be equivalent to 71 regular speeding tickets, or take the average family's food for 8 months. People think this bylaw is about banning practices where people are forced against their will to get counseling or tortured. But people are misled by this. These bylaws are about persecuting with hostility if someone speaks out of term. We wouldn't affirm someone with bulimia that they're overweight or they could die of malnutrition. Transgender people have the right to their therapist. Without a counselor, they could die. Dr. Benjamin, the father of the transgender movement in the U.S., reported that 80% of those seeking a sex change should not have one. Frequently, too many of them commit suicide. The root decision to have a sex change is often sexual trauma, rape, or pornography, and self-hatred. This really hurts them. You can't change your body after surgery. Maybe your heart can be healed. With this law, they wouldn't even have the choice to detransition if they wanted to because of gender discrimination. Do you know how many men and women that got raped and needed to detransition later in life? There are 2 types of chromosomes. This is basic biology, and men and women are different. It may be offensive, but it's true. You can remove your genitalia, but you can never remove child sexual trauma without help.
All right, sir, I'm gonna weigh in on you here, and what you're saying does not bear any relation to the scientific facts that are free and before all of us. And what you're saying is actually hurtful to people in the community who it's just not true. You cannot look, you can believe in your own private space that sexual orientation is connected to trauma as a child, or that there's only male and female within the sexual spectrum, but that is not scientifically a fact. And the perpetration of that belief is hurtful to other people. That's what we're doing here today, is addressing that. And I am calling out your statements as being factually untrue.
Like regarding the X and Y chromosomes?
Sir.
Yeah, regarding
I'm asking you to temper your statement. We know scientifically that gender or identity exists on a spectrum in the animal kingdom.
Okay, so should I continue, or I
need you to do not state facts that are not facts, especially when those facts are at the core of what is so hurtful to so many people in our community. I'm going to step in and address that, and that's what I'm doing right now. So if you want to reorder your thoughts and continue to present, please do. But I'm going to call you out for hurtful statements that are factually untrue.
An individual's right to religious freedom does not trump my human right to live, to exist, to be happy, to be healthy. You might feel my lifestyle is wrong, and that is your opinion that you're entitled to. However, authoritarian rule imposes feelings and opinions over an individual's autonomy and freedom. We live in a free country, or so I thought. A family or group exerting religious beliefs on their family member or person or persons have clearly impacted some of the previous callers' psychology. If a person comes to faith themselves, they can make that decision for themselves, but many times this is not the case and are indoctrinated to hating themselves, causing undue confusion, often leading to suicidal thoughts. Many want to conflate suicidal abuse, many want to conflate sexual abuse with being born LGBTQ+. They are two very different topics. Sometimes they do cross intersectionality. Historically speaking, the Bible is a piece of religious text that has been rewritten, re-edited throughout the centuries to support certain political ideologies and opinions. Why is it acceptable for conversion therapy to be approved to violate human rights if rape and slavery are not? Both rape and slavery are clearly in the Bible, but we as a society deem them to be against human rights. If we engage in logic and basic human compassion, we can clearly see that conversion therapy is just an excuse of barbaric, ignorant, and fundamentally extremist practices. These practices are psychological torture and are akin to groups like the Westboro Baptist Church that feel they are doing God's work by saving the damned by spreading hate and vitriol masked as love. Mental health has become a very important part of our society in the last 20 years. If we know better, we must do better as a society. On one of my travels, I visited the Dachau Concentration and Death Camp Museum in Germany. History has taught us the lessons of what hate speech and intolerance leads to. I stood in the showers of the death camp that had been converted into a museum gallery, where plaques were suspended with images and biographies of Nazi murder victims. One in particular spoke to me, a young man of 26 years old, the same age I was at the time of my trip. He was arrested by the SS and was eventually murdered at Dachau. His alleged crime? He shared love with another man. Under Nazi ideology, this love should be exterminated because it was considered degenerate. This same ideology is used by conversion therapy. Why do we teach history if we do not learn from it? I stood in a room that once contained rotting humans that were murdered victims piled to the ceiling, awaiting their mass dumping burial, treated like excrement. Humans are capable of despicable acts if they believe their actions are righteous. If we truly believe in a democratic and free nation, this must never happen again. My closing statement, MAGA, Make America Great Again. This statement clearly shows the blatant ignorance, stupidity, and evil in humans. Idealism of the 1950s conjures a nostalgia for some. I pose this question to you all to consider. How could a time be so great when churchgoers would attend church services, praise their Creator, bask in the glory of their pious traditions, and then go off and lynch a black person or rope a homosexual by the neck and drag him behind their truck until his limbs were ripped apart? History is clear about hate. Will we learn, or will humans destroy ourselves only to realize the end of days by our own refusal to learn from our past transgressions?